I had a lot of questions, as do many people, about concepts of life, death, and life after death, and conducted some of my own personal investigations through some of the top mediums around the world. I was uniquely qualified because my father was a famous psychic medium, Dr. Richard Ireland.
Here is Dr. Richard Ireland. At this moment, as you can see, we have our ushers in the aisle collecting the notes from the members of our audience. We thought it was important that you at home see that so that you don't assume there's been any trickery in the handling of the cards. They are being picked up at this minute, taken directly from the people who have just filled them out. Therefore, it follows that Dr. Ireland cannot have seen them, as indeed he could not have done so. And they're being picked up by a member of our staff here. And as you'll see now, Dr. Ireland has begun the perhaps we could even get a closer shot here on that activity. The task of covering up all the area around his eyes with surgical tape.
That's in case anyone thinks the holes are all lined up. Or that if, in fact, I might be peeking, and if the papers could be brought up here now, we'll get involved with those in just a moment.
Marty, if you... Oh, they're already here.
The other day I was accused of peeking out of here, see?
Yes, people actually have developed... They'll make up any theory to avoid thinking that...
Really, a lady told me that she thought I'd had a hole bored between my eyes and my nose and I could see out of my nostrils. That's the truth.
Yes. So
where is S. Lowe, please? Do you want me to tell everything I know?
We'll get a mic to him in just a moment.
Shall I tell everything I know?
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to let him out of here. He's got 10,500 smackers in his pocket. Isn't that true?
Correct.
Plus a poker chip.
Right.
Oh. And I want to say hello to Alan now. Alan like DeBias, or DeBias. Labas. Are you there, Alan? Did we get an answer?
He's up, yes.
Okay, because it seems to me as though apparently you're not from this area. Would I find you originally from New Jersey?
Yes.
Would it be Lodi?
Yeah.
And now you live in North Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it seems as though that you make a lot of mistakes when you write, and you've crossed them all out, and it looks really bad.
Yes.
Yes. And I do feel as though that apparently you want to know about someone else, so you're afraid that they're going to turn out to be an old maid. Is that right?
Yes.
I don't believe that you have to worry. Sharon's going to find herself a husband, all right?
Thank you.
One of the first things that came into my mind after learning that Brandon had passed was I wanted to talk to my uncle and see if he could pull through any information, because he had the same abilities as my father. So when I spoke to him, he said, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And I just said, if you get any message or you have anything that you can pass along about Brandon's well-being, I would really appreciate it. It was about a day or two later, I was in the mortuary making arrangements, and my cell phone rang, and my uncle was on the other line. And he said, Mark, there's something I wanted to tell you. I said, okay. He said, last night I tried to see if I could get anything, and I didn't get anything at all. But this morning I got up and was doing my meditation as I start every day. And during that, your father came to me. And he looked just like he always has. And I hadn't seen him in some time, but he has visited me since he's passed. And he wanted to let you know that he was there to meet Brandon when Brandon passed. And initially Brandon was confused, but your dad helped him adjust and to cross over. My uncle said, your dad said that Brandon's death was caused by a lack of oxygen that caused his heart to fail. Well, at that point in time, we did not have any results in terms of what had happened to cause Brandon's death. And it was within the week later on that I spoke to the autopsy physician, and she described the cause of death as a severe asthma attack that restricted his breathing, decreasing his blood oxygen levels, causing cardiac arrest. So my uncle was able to accurately confirm that validation or that information before the autopsy was even conducted. So for me, that was a strong start. Afterward, I began meeting with some other mediums. One of my tests was at the University of Arizona Human Energy Systems Laboratory, which is no longer functioning. But in that particular case, it was a single-blind experiment where the medium who was facilitating the process, Lori Campbell, did not know who I was, and I didn't even know who she was going to be until the process started.
Today, Dr. Schwartz is testing Lori's unusual powers using volunteer sitter Mark Island.
The first question is, what does the deceased look like?
Child, I keep seeing brown hair because I keep feeling like I'm looking at outdoor pictures. Capturing a child outdoors.
Can he show you what was his cause of death? How did Brandon die?
God, I feel like the air is just like sucked right out of me, like my chest, my whole chest area. The weird thing is I feel like I want to throw up. It's like, and I keep seeing a tree planted. So I feel like there's things in his name or his honor. I don't know if it's a plaque on a wall.
After the reading, Lori discovers how much of what she's seen is true.
Was there, by the way, a tree or something?
Yes.
There was a tree?
His school planted a tree as a memorial with a plaque there.
Wow, school with a tree
Yeah.
and plaque.
She even accurately described Brandon's death due to an asthma attack.
His friend and him didn't realize it was asthma because the symptoms were different than any other asthma attack he'd ever had. And he did throw up just before passing away. I'd say Lori's accuracy was in the 70 to 80% range. It may end up being higher after I go back through some of that and take time to look at the names and things.
Near-death experience phenomena is another area of consciousness survival being explored. Dr. Pin van Lommel, Dr. Bruce Grayson, and Dr. Sabam are three researchers in this field. What has been uncovered in this sort of phenomena is the idea that people go through a death process, and then when they're revived, they report some unusual circumstances, such as going through a tunnel of white light, being able to hover over their physical body, looking down at the environment, and meeting deceased loved ones, with the choice to depart from the physical world or return to it. Skeptics have argued that the brain must still be functioning during this period of time, creating a hallucination or artificial experience. There are a few cases that challenge skeptics. One involved a woman named Pam Reynolds, who had a severe brain aneurysm. The only way the doctors could operate on it was to reduce her body temperature down to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and remove all the blood from her brain and body. They did this for about a 45-minute period, where there was no heartbeat and no brainstem activity of any kind. After Pam was revived, she reported hovering over her body and described in detail the instruments that she saw the doctors using on her. She was exactly correct. In addition, she reported meeting deceased loved ones and experiencing a feeling of warmth before drawing back into her body.
One of the primary problems with mainstream science in terms of looking at this sort of evidence is they want to see a theory that's testable. So they're ignoring the evidence because they feel there's no theory out there that they can test against. But I would contend that the universe is a mysterious place, and to just disregard evidence that leads to a conclusion or a possible conclusion is a mistake.
My name is Michelle Markey. I am a student at NAU up in Flagstaff, and I'm going to see a medium today apparently. His name is Jamie Clark. I've never met him before. I actually just found out his name today. So, and I'm kind of excited to see what he has to say. So, I'm not quite sure exactly what he might touch on, but my dad passed away almost 4 years ago, and then my great-grandmother passed away about a year after that, and so I'm thinking if there's anything that I'm expecting him to talk about, it would be my dad or my great-grandmother. Not crossing my fingers that anything will be correct, or he'll even get to talk to me about anything.